So the first layer that we're going to paint is going to be the layer for this skin. And to do this, we need to choose a new tool we haven't worked with yet called the brush tool. And it's right over here in the toolbar, and it looks like a paintbrush. You'll also notice, by the way, when I just mouse over this, that I get that little window to pop up. Let me see if I can get it to pop up again. If you just hold the cursor over a tool, then it often will show you the name, and also you can see that it showed a B right there in parentheses at the end. That's a really cool shortcut, because what that means is you can see that right now I happen to be on the hand tool. If I just hit the B key without holding the mouse or holding any special keys, I just hit B, it jumps me right to that tool. So it's a really great shortcut. Also, when you click and hold on the tool, you can see that over here for everything in this menu, there is the same shortcut. If I hold Shift while I press that key, B, it switches between the different tools in that tool drawer. So we want to be on the brush tool. The best way to get there to make sure you're on the right one is just click and hold on the tool and choose the brush tool. There's a couple in here that look like a brush, but they've got extra little features. This, when you have that tool selected, there's nothing but a brush in the tool. Up in the options bar, we can see the different options that we have to work with, and I'm going to slowly introduce these. So I don't want you to change any of these. Yours should be exactly the same as this. The mode should be normal, opacity at 100%. This option should not be selected, right? When you select it, it goes dark. Yours should not be dark. The flow's at 100%, and these options should not be selected. And what we want to do is click and just look at this menu, and I want to explain some of these options that we have. The first is the size, and I'll show that to you in just a second. The other concept that's important to understand is the hardness. And within this little dialog box, we can sort of see the difference between a hard brush and a soft brush. When a brush has a hardness that's a high value, the highest it can go is 100%, then it's going to create a mark like this when we paint with it. It's going to have a very, very sharp edge. So I will demonstrate here on screen. It's best that you don't, although if you want to explore, you can, because you can always undo. And I'm going to just click and drag and draw a line. And you can see that it draws a line that's the size of my brush, but the edges are very defined. It is exactly 100% the size of the brush, and it doesn't fade away at all. The other option is when a hardness is set very low. And again, I've got the exact same size brush. But now when I click and drag, look, I get a very different effect. So it's best and easiest to understand hardness when you demonstrate it rather than try and explain it. Also in the book, there's a really good graph there that just kind of shows you the difference between some of the different, general hardness settings and general increments. I'm going to do Control-Alt-Z, Command-Option-Z on the Mac to get rid of those. And what I want to do is switch my color to a color that's somewhat like the color of skin. And I don't need to be perfect. I just want to get somewhere into something that looks sort of skin color-ish. So that's good enough for me. I'm going to go right here and tell it OK. And then I'm going to zoom in on my face a little bit. Actually, I'm going to just double click to get 100% and then get right where I want it to be. And I just noticed again this little dot on the nose. I'm going to just, while I'm in here really quick, switch to the spot healing brush. And I need to make sure that I'm on the proper layer now, because watch what happens when I click. Nothing happens. I can't get rid of anything because I'm on layer 1, which shows this checkerboard, which means that there's nothing there. That's Photoshop's way of showing you empty space, or that there's no information there. I'm going to click on the background layer really quick and then click on that little dot to get rid of it on the nose. I see one here too that I want to get rid of. And now, very important, this step, I want to switch back to the layer. Layer 1. That's the layer that I'm going to paint with. It's very important that you do not paint on the background layer. So what we're going to do is click on layer 1. So now I'm going to choose my brush tool again, move the brush out to my area, and I'm going to just use the brackets to kind of shrink it down to a size I want. And I'm also going to put my hardness right in the middle at about 50%. Doesn't really matter exactly where. We just want it somewhere around 50% because we want it to fade away a little bit, but not all the way. And we're going to just basically paint in the face here. And look at that, unbelievable. It looks just like a color photograph, right? Okay, so I'm joking around a little bit. So it doesn't look very believable. And the reason is that, remember I talked about that magic glass? We haven't applied any magic to the glass yet. We just took spray paint and sprayed on the glass in the picture frame. The photo is still fine. We can hide the layer by clicking on this little eyeball over here in the layers palette. I can hide, and I can see that I haven't damaged my photo. This is the beauty of layers, is that I can make changes that affect my image without damaging any of the actual pixels here, because I'm doing them on basically a piece of glass that's on top of the image. But what we need to do is make our glass into magic glass. We're going to do that in the next video.